Okay, great. I think we are complete, and since we are a little pressed with time, I don't want to take much, just to get us started. So thank you everybody for joining this session, and especially to our speakers. So as you know, this room will focus on the aspects of the use of Gen AI for dissemination and interpretation statistics. I think we had a really good introduction from Wesley on the roadmap that Statistics Canada is using as an inspiration for us also to look into this aspect of the use of Gen AI. And so without much ado, I mean, just some basic rules. We have about 65 minutes. So I think we will try to keep it to 60 minutes of presentations and a 5-minute break. So I suggest that we have our first 3 presentations before the break, 12 minutes each. I'm going to ask you to shorten. Originally, we were planning for 15 minutes, but if you could have in total 12, so that means maybe 10 to 12 minutes presentation. If there is a moment for quick questions and answers at the end, that would be good. But if not, as Ronald said, we will collect questions in the chat. So without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Michael Stanger from IMF to talk about this project in IMF with the title "Talk to the Manuals." So, Michael, if you could confirm that you are able to share your screen, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
We were seeing your presentation. Now we see it not in presentation mode, just in the.
Yeah. It's going now, I hope.
Let's see. Now it's perfect. Thank you.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. So thanks for the invitation. What I'm going to show you now is basically 5 slides and then a little demo. I don't think I'm going to take the 10 minutes. I will go really broad on this project. And I have to start talking about what we call the Compilers Hub, but the main topic is not going to be exactly the Compilers Hub, but I need to give you this context. So we are developing at the IMF with all the other institutions, including the UN, what we call a solution that it's for the global statistical community for access to sharing information, collaboration, and asking questions, technical questions, and some others regarding best practices in compilation of macroeconomic statistics. Well, and you see the stakeholders. We call this Compilers Hub for now, but it's probably going to change. Now, what do we have in this Compilers Hub? Again, this is context that I want to give. We have 3 main sections. So we have resources, community, and collaboration. So those are the 3 main goals that we're pursuing here. Community is basically this sharing of questions and answers and guidance from experts, etc., from international organizations or countries. Collaboration is to develop projects and co-develop tools, papers, etc. The one that I'm going to refer to more, though, is the resources. So we are putting together a kind of library where it's digital, where we are going to load all the information that is public, and it's sponsored by some of the international organizations as best practice. Now, fine, I mean, we have that information elsewhere. It's a little scattered. So one good thing that we have here is that we will have all that in one place with digital as a digital resource, as a copy. So here we will have most of the manuals, hopefully all the manuals, international standards, papers, guidance notes, handbooks, guidelines, and so on. And they will be all together for access to the compiler. So if you have a question, you can come and use the usual browsing functionality to get that information, or get the information that you need from these resources. Now, not only documents, but if we go a little deeper into what we have in the resources, we will have not only kind of paper-like documents, but we will also have training materials. So there's a lot going on for compilers to learn, and many training courses online and offline, etc. So we will have a section on training materials. We will also have events, so we are promoting the use of these events, past events, speeches, and so meetings and so on. And we will also have data and tools. This is something that if you don't think about data, you will have tools, or compilers will have access to tools that may be useful for them to perform a better job. So how does this link to AI, and how this link to better dissemination? It's really what I'm gonna go now. Well, obviously this hub is going to be based on membership, and different members will have different options. This is just for the management of the governance of the hub. So what I was saying, how all these links to AI or ChatGPT type of things, and how this will help in dissemination. It's what we are saying here, what we are proposing, and what we are implementing, in fact, is something that for now, again, this is experimental for now, is called Talk to the Manuals, meaning that for now, all those resources that we will have, that I said, you can find them anywhere, but we will have them centralized, combined. I mean, if you are a compiler, you know that all of them together are several thousands of pages. So when you have a question, you have a doubt, you have to go and try to find the answer that is scattered within one manual and between manuals. So it's difficult. It's really difficult to read and really extract or try to find the right answer that you need for questions that you need to solve, most likely in a rush. So some of those are urgent. So what we did was to link this bot that is basically Talk to a Manual, is nothing but ChatGPT. So the compilers will have an easier interaction with the information that we have in resources. But again, it's not only manuals, it's guidelines, it's all the other handbooks and practical implementation guidelines that will be in the hub. We are leveraging the AI technologies, as I mentioned. We are trying to make this as a public good. I mean, I mentioned that the hub is going to have membership, but some members will be able to access this. And some of the comments of the previous presentation, it's how do we ensure that this bot is really doing the job that we want it to do, meaning give answers that are good practice. So what we do is restrict the ability of the bot to find information only in the resources that we have in the hub. And not only those resources that we have in the hub, but the other thing that I think is cool is that any person that uses this will be able to restrict the search and obviously the information used to generate the responses from different topics. So you may have a question that you want to be answered only based on the balance of payments world, or on the national accounts world, on the government finance statistics world, only on manuals or guidelines. It can be anyway. You will be able to filter the source of information from which this bot is getting the data. So I said I wanted to show you how it looks like. I mean, you already saw a view of the hub, but what I want you to see is actually I hope you can see. Can you see a new window with it's a white kind of window? Okay, I'm not sure. It's kind of small, but this is how the bot is looking. So the point being here is that again, you can search information, but given the ability of AI to generate answers, I have some examples here that I didn't want to run it in person. But I have 3 questions there are somehow tricky questions, and this is the I would say the value added here. I asked the question, and this is a question that came from the from the balance of payments community, how to deal with asymmetries in international trade. So it's a deep question, compilation question, that is hard to find even if you have the manual. So from the manuals, obviously, it generates the answer. It's a very good answer, by the way, but also it gives you the references from which these answers were drawn. So you will have, it gives you the links, direct links to the manuals with the actual paragraph where you can find the answer or reference to this answer. Then another question that I asked, again, I won't read this, but this is basically where the status of this bot as of now, how to correct negative values in input-output tables. So if you want to understand input-output tables, you go to a manual to the input-output table. Once you learn and you start compiling it, when you disseminate it or you have the final results, you find tricky questions. And this is a very tricky, a common one, how to correct negative values in input-output tables. And it gives you a very good, I would say, answer, again, referencing the SNA 2008 in this case. We are running this chat bot using only 3 manuals for now: the SNA, the BPM, and the finance, the GFS. And the last one is questions for users. I mean, users of statistics that you may find hard questions that are sometimes hard to answer. And we get this as compilers. For example, a user will come to you, given climate change, and ask you, are natural disasters accounted for in GDP? So you won't find that directly. And this is giving you exactly the answer that you would expect. I mean, I find this really precise. It's really easy to understand. And again, it's drawn from the SNA directly, and it's giving you where this was found. So I can go farther here, but again, this is an experiment that we are dealing with. For now, we only have 3 manuals, but we are expecting this to go beyond manuals and text and actually draw some examples from other type of papers with actual numbers and examples, that numerical examples that can help basically disseminate better these statistics that sometimes are harder to deal with or explain. So let me stop here. I hope I didn't take too much time. If there are questions, I'm happy to go over some of them.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. This is really interesting, and I thank you also for keeping this short so that we have actually time for a couple of questions. No, I think this is a really promising area of work, and I'm sure there will be a lot of interest on this. So I would like to open the floor for questions. I am not sure I can see everybody. If somebody has a question, please raise your hand. I'm also trying to monitor the chat. I don't see any question yet. In the meantime, as any question comes in, I have one specific question in how you are implementing this. So this requires the collection or bringing together resources, no? As you said, the manuals, courses, information on events, and so on. So that's first a task of curating and integrating all these materials. So when you do that, do you also add structure to that in terms of metadata that allows the LLMs to be more precise using human curated sort of metadata about how you classify the materials by topic and so on? So if it is also documents, for instance, like unstructured text, do you aim to add structure to those documents internally, and also to be able to link internally more precisely when concepts are equivalent across resources and so on? So the question is, what type of structure you add to the materials, if at all, and how do you do that?
Thanks a lot, Luis. Yeah, we are still. This is not live yet. It's coming live probably in a few months after the new year 2025. First of all, the governance has been decided, but all the international organizations are part of the admin group. So the admin group will be in charge of curating and endorsing the documents that we are going to put there for the public use, and basically with the stamp of the hub, so to speak, that these are the good practices. Now, I didn't want to go into the details of the infrastructure behind the hub, but you are absolutely right. Behind the hub, the classification system that we're using, and we are tagging every artifact in the hub with many pieces of metadata. I think we will be missing some, but we have the format. We have not only the domain, but we have the topic and subtopic, that everything is linked, and those are linked to the interest, to the skills of the users. So everything is interlinked. Once we have that finalized, and before going live, probably we will need to socialize this for comments and see how we can improve this. But in general, there's a very nice, I would say for now, at least in terms of the infrastructure, a very good system of information and linking all these resources. But again, it will come. I mean, if the UN wants to nominate you, that would be excellent to have you and share this infrastructure or definitions, classifications that we have underpinning or sustaining this hub. But everything is classified. The only thing the only caveat is that maybe we are missing some pieces of metadata that may become relevant in the future. But again, this is going to be open for consultation in the coming months.
Apologies. No, I just want to say thank you, Michael, for this is really, really exciting. I would like to invite anybody who has a moment to reflect on this project and has additional questions to put them in the chat. But for now, maybe it's better that we move on to the next presentation. So I would like to invite Milana Karaganis from Statistics Canada to speak about Gen AI chatbot in Statistics Canada, how you are developing this technology to answer questions related to the publications of Statistics Canada. So Milana, are you able to share your screen to enable your microphone?
Yeah, so let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Floor is yours, please, Milan.
Thank you. So thank you so much for this opportunity to speak about one of our use cases for the use of generative AI. And specifically, it is about applying generative AI-powered chatbot to help visitors of our website to find information amongst our publications. So in the presentation today, I'm going to talk about the business opportunity, why we decided to pursue this use case, what did we do for the first minimal viable product for our solution, the results from the first rounds of testings, and what we're doing right now to further enhance our product, and wrap it up with a few lessons learned so far. So Wesley talked about our overall framework that we use for adoption of AI within StatScan. So here we're focusing on the first pillar, the use cases, and a particular use case of searching for information in the publications on our website. In terms of the business opportunity, well, the challenge and business opportunity was fairly clear for us because we have so much information on the website that it is problematic for our visitors to our website to really find information, especially if they're not experts and they haven't been working with our website to understand all the ins and outs. But if it's just a general public, trying to find information on the website could be at times challenging. So that was the business challenge that we wanted to address to improve our service delivery for Canadians. and accelerate discovery of StatCan information by the end users. In terms of how we wanted to assess whether we achieved it or not, we're going to use several more of a qualitative assessments in terms of the internal experts, statistics Canada experts doing the testing of the tool, of the chatbot, and providing feedback on whether it provides the correct information based on a set of questions that they will query. The second piece is retrieval of correct information to respond to the user queries. So that responds to the typical mechanism that chatbots have been using lately all over the web, where users can indicate if the provided information has responded to their questions or not. We're also looking at validations with the client engagement group, who will work with the end users to see if it meets the requirements of the end users. And also, we're looking at working with our key partners within Government of Canada to do rounds of validations and testings with them to see if the chatbot is providing useful information. On the technical side, we wanted to use this opportunity to advance the approach that Wesley talked about. What we want to really do is to make sure that we create infrastructure, we create the repeatable solution artifacts that we can reuse for similar cases in the future, so that we can expedite the development of this type of use cases and implement them in the future. So that includes things like common development, production environments, support, but also the process. Also, the reusable artifacts from technology perspective, what kind of technology pieces we need to have in place, providing our data science colleague with a common solution stack that they can reuse and plug and play with for the other use cases. Obviously, looking at from the cybersecurity perspective to make sure that we cover that and we reduce the cybersecurity assessment requirements for the future. And also wanted to take a look at the various models, such as, for example, GPT 3.5 versus 4, from both computing power and costing considerations to see if we can find the optimal balance for us. So overall, on the technical side, what we're looking at is to mature our IT knowledge and AI technologies and move that much closer to the objective of having sustainable infrastructure to enable AI use cases. So going back to our use case, what we chose to do is to proceed with the retrieval augmented generation RAG implementation of this chatbot. It's a fairly typical solution for this type of chatbots, leveraging Gen AI models. So from the infrastructure on the back end, we've leveraged one of the environments that we have with Statistics Canada, the platform known as Data Analytics as a Service. So we're leveraging DAS for both development and production. And the front-end interaction for the users, that we've developed a web app hosted in Kubernetes. So it's a cloud-native web app where users will be able to enter their queries and get the results. From perspective of the AI engine, we are in the Azure cloud. So we've opted out to use Azure toolset. So Azure OpenAI models and API services. We're looking at we started initially with the GPT 4.0 as our basic model when we developed the prototype. But given some constraints in availability of computing power at that time that Microsoft had, we switched down to GPT 3.5, and that's right now the basic model that we're using for our solution. But we're watching the situation closely, and as the computing power for newer models such as GPT 4 Omni, for example, becomes available for the volumes that we foresee for this tool, we will be also switching to that. And also, we use the Azure AI search. We started with that as a search mechanism, formerly known as a cognitive search. And I will talk a little bit more about lessons learned specific to the search part of this solution later in the presentation. So in terms of the production, well, we started with a fairly modest number of PDFs, publications and PDFs for the proof of concept. We started with about 100. Right now, in our current solution, we basically use all the publications that we have on our website, both English and French. So it's 18,000 plus publications. Publications being added daily, so we've had to build the data pipeline to make sure that we constantly add the new content as the publications being released. And for the first stage of our solution, we excluded tabular data and non-text media such as graphics, videos, etc. So of course that has implications for what type of questions this chatbot can answer. But we felt that for the sake of making sure that we first address the initial objectives of this project in terms of establishing stable infrastructure and also making sure that we achieve appropriate level of quality in the responses, focusing on something more familiar such as publications before moving to table to text and things like that would give us a little bit better results. And the Annex A, for those of you who are interested in technology, we have a picture of a technology stack that we use for the solution. So this slide basically covers the high view of how the query works. So users would come in on the website. They would go into this app that we've developed, and they would type in their queries, and also would add there the clarifications if they don't get quite the information that we're looking for. So that enables us to capture the conversation history and the queries that users add along the way. So that information then gets passed to the OpenAI service that then sends the request to the index. To the search index to look through the publications that we have and find the most relevant publications. Top relevant publications then return back to the OpenAI service combined with the initial query and conversation history. And OpenAI service uses this data to produce the response, which includes the linkages to citations to show provide linkages to the publications that were used in production of the response, and that information is presented back to the users. So in terms of the development of MVP solutions, we spent about 6 weeks to do rapid prototyping for the proof of concept that worked on about 300 publications at that time. Then after that, we spent about another 9 weeks to take that proof of concept and put it into the production scale application. So we really wanted to go right away with the full cycle and not to stop at the POC type of step, because for all the discussions that we heard previously on the call today, that's really the crucial step to make sure that we actually land on a workable solution that is production ready and can go in production. So for us, that was an important step in this MVP solution. So the development of the production-ready MVP included a lot of testing, such as a hackathon, for example, that we did at the end of February, but also included a lot of reviews and approvals from architecture, cyber, responsible AI, accessibility, governance. So lots of approvals we had to go through. And at the end of March, we had a production version of the solution that we put into production, and we opened it up for internal testing within Statistics Canada by our experts. The testing took about 2 months. So in the Annex B, you can find examples of how the interface looks like, what users would see, but also some test volumes that showed the amount of testing that we've done internally. So what did we see from this phase 1 from the MVP results? Well, first of all, like I said, we've made it to production. So we've done the full cycle. We have a production solution. And we've incorporated 4 new generative AI related technologies, which is part of our one of our objectives to make sure that we have building blocks and modules ready for this type of solutions for the future to simplify the process for the next set of use cases. We also learned a lot about user expectations because it was our internal Statistics Canada experts who did the initial testing. Obviously, they had their views and perceptions in terms of how this type of questions would need to be answered. So we learned a lot in terms of, what do experts expect out of this type of tools versus what might have been somebody more like a general public who doesn't know and doesn't understand all the intricacies of concepts and questions that they ask, how it would work for them. And also, we definitely learned that because we constrained the data set that is available for answers only to the PDF publications on our website, our users, our expert users wanted more. They wanted to see access to the tabular data and other tools that they use to for their work. So what we've concluded was a good start. However, we really needed to focus on improving the quality of the responses. And this is where from the solution perspective, we learned that search is as important as the LLM, as the type of large language model that we use, because search is really what will bring up the relevant publications to provide the answers. And also we learned that out-of-box tools, such as, for example, orchestration that is provided by Microsoft, is not necessarily conducive to the level of quality that we're looking for in responses. So we would need to customize the orchestration pieces of the solution.
Milana, can I just, I apologize, but just to try to accelerate a bit, I mean, it's incredibly interesting, but just so I'm mindful a bit of the time. Sorry for that.
Yep, no worries, no worries. I'm almost there. So from the perspective, what we're doing right now is we're improving our search. We're also working on the custom workflow orchestration, and we're focusing on usability to make it more clear that this is the publications only, and looking at migration to GPT 4.0. You see here that also important step for us is to develop a sustainable quality testing framework that we're working on with the data scientist colleagues that we can apply to this type of solutions. And what we're really aiming for is to get ready for testing with our partners within the government of Canada this winter. So in terms of the lessons learned, the quality, of course, quality of answers is the key one. That requires a lot of work that we need to do with the tools out of the box. We also learned about balancing what technology can do versus what experts would expect it to do. So we need to focus on bringing in that business knowledge and training the solution to align more with that business knowledge of our experts. We did learn that it takes a lot from different disciplines to put solutions like this out there. So it's data science, cybersecurity, IT, subject matter experts. Everybody has to contribute. Data is super important, not only data quality, but also making sure that we have proper data pipelines that respond to continuous changes in data sets, and also need to account for the fact that technology evolves itself. So as we go through the process, we need to constantly upgrade the technology, and that also creates its own challenges compared to the typical processes that we use. So that's basically the presentation, and I'm going to stop right there.
Thank you so much, Milana. It's really very interesting and complementary to what we heard also in the first presentation. I wanted to as well invite for one or two questions if there are any from the audience. Also, if somebody wants to put something in the chat. Just in the so as you know, we are working towards the development of a data science playbook, no, which we hope will provide guidance to the official statistics community on how to implement this type of projects from development to production with best practices, lessons learned. And I think there's so much to learn from your experience. So not only on the specific substance of your project, but also on how you did it. No, about rapid prototyping, agile production, the use of hackathons, all the process of approvals, architecture, cybersecurity, the revisions of accessibility and governance, and all this process of being able to release a minimum viable product, then test it, engage with users, and so on. That is a roadmap that is not the usual way we did business in the past in social statistics. So I would love to have that conversation continue as we collaborate for developing this playbook. So is any question from the users, I mean from the audience? I'm sure there will be opportunity to dig deeper into this, and I thank you, Milana, for this really interesting presentation. So with this, I would now like to pass it to our colleagues from INEGI. So Amado Esquer, Chief of Research and Data Science at INEGI, and I think presenting together with Elio Villaseñor, Director of the Data Science Lab at INEGI. So Elio and Amado, it's really nice to have you here, and thank you for agreeing to share your experience. So we will hear about the automatic generation of documents based on official statistics. And please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Luis. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Well, please, Amado,
Yes,
thank you so much.
just let me know if you can see the presentation now.
Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Is it in presentation mode? Just a quick
No,
question.
not yet.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we are going to present this project that is automatic generation of information documents based on official statistic. And this project is, the starting point of this project is actually a product that is already in production. Next slide, please. That is called the, in Spanish, the Conociendo la Industria. We have translated this like insights into the industry. And this is a product that is focused on sectorial and regional studies by INEGI, and is developed in collaboration with industrial chambers. Each industrial sector and collaborates with its own document, and it covers activities, employment, wage, production change, and inflation. To be presented in a simple language with graphs and tables. This product was developed by a relatively small team of experts in economic analysis, and they came to us and see if we can help them to automatize the production of these documents. And we say, well, using generative AI, I think we can manage this. The next one, the idea is to have a large language model chatbot that is able to interact with an expert on this kind of analysis, of economic analysis, to get the interpretation of a descriptive interpretation of the changes that are observed in the economical statistics of each industry. So we have installed Mistral LLM in our own infrastructure, and we've been having progress with the experimental with this large language model. The next one, please. And graphical interface for the experts to interact with this large language model, and this is all open source. So we are putting this on internal services for these experts to have this interaction. If you can put it in play, Amado, please. And we can ask to this large language model to have an interpretation of statistical information in a very easy way. We can have the explanation of what is observed in this kind of information. This is an official publication, and we asked to the large language model to interpret what is said, and we have the answer. This is, I repeat, this is installed in our own GPU servers at INEGI. The next one, please. So with this capability, we asked to the large language model to have access to our data warehouse, and to bring this economic statistics from the industries, and to viewed the document in a semi-structured document, and to have this interpretation of the changes of the economical statistics for each industry. Once we have developed the documents for the whole industries manually, then we can update these documents by this way. And I let the floor to explain us how we build it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elio. I'm going to talk to you about how we made this document. Here we have a screenshot of the website, and I'm going to go step by step. I'm going to go deeper in a moment. Well, it's I can define it as 4 steps. Some members of the team would define it maybe 5 steps, maybe 6 steps. But basically, we define relevant indicators for each industry. Those may be contribution to GDP, inflation, exports, imports, salaries, workforce, supply chain, number of economic units in the country, in every state, in every municipality. Then we use the infrastructure that Elliot just described. It's alongside with an internal API to retrieve necessary data and calculate indicators. And with those indicators, we make text that is going to be in the website that I just showed you. And we display this text alongside interactive visualizations and with these insights. And the good thing is that, well, at the end, everything can be updated with a script. For the first step, well, as I told you, we define these indicators. For the in the left, we have the fabric industry and clothing, and we have some indicators like the GDP, inflation, exports, imports, workforce, and we have some similar indicators for the automotive industry. We are looking to get a set of indicators that are interesting for all industries, and this is work that we are doing right now. But for now, each industry has its own relevant indicators. The second step is we use an API that we have at INEGI that in this API, everything that INEGI produces and is publicly available, we can get it without having to consult the website. So it wouldn't make sense to retrieve that information from the website if we are already in INEGI. So this information is available for us inside INEGI. So in this step, also the direction of economic studies provide us with a list of variables that we have to retrieve to calculate the indicators that we need for each industry, as well as the definition of those variables. Those can be ratios, percentages, growth rates, and so on. For the third step, and which is the one that is more interesting for this event, we use Mistral AI, which is a French company. And in December 2023, about a year ago, it released a model called Mistral 8x7B. And it's a simple model. It works in the infrastructure we have, which is 2 GPUs with the specs that you have on screen. And it can handle different languages, and it can also be fine-tuned to achieve this level 8.3 on the MT bench, which is a test to see how good a and a large language model can engage in coherent, informative, and engaging conversations. Well, this is a small model compared to the ones that we have today, like ChatGPT 4.0. So some issues, we had some issues. One of these issues was that it has some problems doing arithmetics and object interpretations. This is an example in the table on the left. We asked it to analyze it, the year-on-year variation. And although the text is correct, the calculation of the variation is wrong. So you have the table there, you have the prompt, and the result, the numbers are wrong. In green, that you have the correct numbers. So the solution that we have for this is we calculate the numbers beforehand. In this case, you see the new prompt, you have var1, which is variation 1 and variation 2. Those are in the text, and at the end, we get a good result. So the issue with the arithmetic calculations can be resolved this way. Another issue that we have is that Mixtral tends to default back to English, even mid-sentences, when Spanish is not specified. So we have a prompt on the left, and on the right, we have a response. The first few words are in Spanish, but for some reason, it changes back to English and writes the rest in English. What we have to do here is add a variable called context, and here we have to specify that we want the result in Spanish and in formal English to be published in a website for the National Statistics Office in Mexico. With this, we can solve this issue. And the prompt that you see on the right is entirely in Spanish and is closer to what we want. Another result is that the results can.
Amado, sorry, can I just ask you to accelerate a little bit because we are running a little bit out of time?
Sure, I will try to do this as fast as I can. This is that the AI makes some mistakes, so we have to iterate. We have first prompt, we ask it what we want, and a second prompt to summarize all the iterations of the prompt. So on the left, we have different prompts. Most of them are similar, but in the prompt, we ask it to ignore those that are very different and summarize the rest. And we have a successful result. One trick that we use, we can call it a trick, and we can get like 20 free IQ points from the model, is that we can ask everything in English, and at the end, ask it to translate to Spanish. And with this, in the right side, you have the results, and the part in green that you have at the bottom is something that we couldn't have got otherwise. This section is meta prompts. We have a library of prompts, if you want to call it that way. And this ask the model to select which prompt fits best what we want. The main advantages is that we can have this document updated even hours after the new information is published, and is very accessible to everyone, not only specialists. You don't have to go to INEGI website to get all the data required to calculate indicators. And it's very accessible, very friendly, and of course it includes a note saying that the document contains AI-generated content, but it's supervised by experts before being published. So the user can be certain that the AI didn't make mistakes. This is our team on the data science lab and the direction of economic studies. And yeah, that's it from us. Thank you.
Thank you both, Amado and Elio. It's a really excellent example of the application of LLMs for the production of statistical outputs, analytic outputs. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left for questions or even for the break. I think I would suggest that we move right away for the next two presentations, no, and that we skip the break. And again, everybody, please is welcome to add their questions to the chat, and we will either try to respond them at the end of this session or afterwards. So without more introduction, I would like to pass the floor to our colleague Yan Tan from Statistics Singapore, who is going to speak about the project Genie for harnessing semantic understanding capabilities of LLMs for understanding industry trends, and in the same line of what we have been seeing in the previous presentations. So Yan Tan, can you share your screen, your microphone? Are you all set for your presentation?
Luis, you might not be with us. I couldn't assign presenters rights for him.
Okay.
So we might need to move to Christos right away, unless he raises his hand.
So Yan Tan, if you can hear us here, please raise your hand. And yeah, I agree, Maria. Thank you. Let's just switch now, and while we figure out what is the technical difficulty with our colleague from Singapore. So Christos, would you be able to present now? I don't know if you can turn on your microphone and share your screen. Christos, let me see.
I see he's on hold.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's on the other meeting. Wait, let me try to read.
Maybe we have to bring Christos in. So now we have some time for discussion. Like I was probably rushing too much in the earlier presentation. So well, one thing that really caught my attention in the topic of the three presentations is the importance also of bringing into the loop in this development the domain expertise, no? So that for instance, in what we just saw in the application in INEGI, there is always the human in the loop, as we heard at the beginning in the presentation from Ing-Yong and Wesley. So that's something I think that we should really dig deeper into, how to enable proper intervention and oversight as we develop these solutions. Any additional questions? I see there's some movement in the chat. Let me see. So unfortunately, I think we still don't have either Christos or Yan Tan. Maybe let's try to be a bit flexible, and I don't know if it would be a good idea, but why don't we invite Michael, Milana, and Amado and Elio just to come together now to have a sort of a wrap-up conversation. I don't know if you are available to switch on your cameras and microphones, and we can just go over what we just heard, which is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael and Amado. So Milana is also probably in the other room, but so One thing that I really would like to hear more about, and we had details on this from Statistics Canada, but now in the way you are planning the work, Michael, or the way you, Amado, and Elio are implementing your solution, I would like to hear more about the process. No, like this is a new type of development that requires cross-functional teams, that requires involving in the project in very agile manner, domain experts, infrastructure people, software developers, data scientists, so many different skills. So I don't know if you can speak about your experience in putting together this type of teams and enabling the collaboration, no, in an agile manner. No? So Michael, maybe first over to you, and then we can hear from Amado.
Thanks, Luis. Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with the last point. I mean, collaboration here is key. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. We could get nothing if we don't collaborate with different teams, and in this case, with different institutions, international organizations. So from our side, we are really working with IT people that we need, but on the side of the expertise, we have very strong teams throughout the international organizations that they will have to be involved heavily. So at first we thought that it was going to be, in the particular case of the hub and the use of the hub and the talk to the manuals, was going to be fully automated. So everyone was happy, saying, well, we will become hands-off. But in reality, this triggers or amplifies the risks of having misinformation in the end. I mean, we've been talking about that. So one of the things that we will need to control and be really, really aware of is that anything that it's generated from this tool that we want to make available to help everyone is not misused, and then people may compilers, I don't know, or the press use this as the information from the international organizations saying this. So there's a lot of administrative work behind the scenes. We are still, as I said, working. We have 4 months, a project of 4 months, to understand how we are going to implement the governance and the flow of information in and out. And as our colleagues from Mexico, the same thing. I mean, you cannot leave the machine to work by itself. There's a lot of, I mean, it's going to improve, but during that improvement, there's a lot of hand-holding to a machine, so to speak. So yeah, we are working not only with different topical statistical domains, but also with IT people, with I don't know how you call this type of user experience people, that it's between IT, marketing, the use of analytics within all this machinery is also something very specific that, well, Microsoft has a lot of tools to help us with that. But yeah, the bottom line here, there's a lot of investment, there's a lot of excitement, there are risks, but I think in the end it's going to be, and it's being helpful at least internally. I wish I have had more time, but the title of my presentation was Talk to the Manuals. I just presented a few questions, but basically we all know, and I didn't want to get everybody bored, but if there's something that you can engage, asking more specific questions regarding the answers, you will see that it narrows down to more specific answers anyway. But just to complement what I said at the beginning. Sorry, I took too long, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing these reflections. And maybe let me pass it directly to you, Amado. And what is your view now in terms of how to make this collaboration across different teams, across different areas of expertise work, like in practice, and what are some lessons learned that you want to share with the rest?
Sure. Well, I can tell you first that this project was a request that the direction of economic studies had. they had the task to release these documents that used to be made every 3 months, and every year they made about 5 to 6 documents, one for each industry, and it took them very long because they had to aggregate all the indicators that INEGI doesn't release for each industry. If you think of the automotive industry, INEGI doesn't have an indicator for that industry as a whole. It has indicators for vehicles, for trucks, for the production of automotive parts like maybe wheels, metal, all the different industries that are involved in the automotive industry. So they had to compile, if you want to call it that way, all those indicators and make the document. And then they had this task of creating more timely publications, and that's where we came in. We had the infrastructure. We had this idea that we could use large language models, and we could connect to INEGI databases, but we needed their expertise on how to aggregate this data. They told us that, for example, there are some industries where you have to aggregate about 300 indicators that INEGI releases to get maybe the GDP of that industry. So it's not an easy task. They do a lot of the work that we can show in these documents in this in these products that we make. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Amal. It's really I think that just makes it plainly clear for everyone that the need for the domain expertise to be driving the process. I don't know, Elio, do you want to add your perspective on this?
Yes, let me complement a little bit related with collaboration. At the Data Science Lab, we have a multidisciplinary team that allow us to develop this kind of applications in a very agile way. But in this year, actually, we have observed an openness from production areas to harnessing artificial intelligence in their production processes. I think that this happened because they see that artificial intelligence is already in our daily lives, and they begin to trust more in this kind of technology. So the collaboration becomes easier because they are already they want already to use it artificial intelligence in their production processes, and I think that this happened just in this year.
So thank you for that, Elio. And I see, Milana, you are here to share your final reflections on this. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So I think you're absolutely right. And that's, I think, what I tried to also emphasize in my presentation, that truly successful development of these use cases with the use of LLMs, generative AI tools, it's not just data science. We have to have subject matter there. We have to have experts there, because they're really truly the ones who can guide in terms of what we need to train the LLMs, how to think, how to approach the questions and things like that. So I think, it's really taken a village to put it out there to get the results that NSOs expect to get out of this.
Yeah, thank you, Milana. And Christos, I see you're here, and I truly apologize that we must have had some technical issues, and I don't know if you we are really on time now when we are supposed to move back to the other session, but perhaps we can steal a couple of minutes from the audience now, if you would like to share at least some insights or part from your presentation.
Yeah, I would love to. I will go extremely quickly. Bear with me for 1 second. All right, so just going through this extremely quickly. We have, so now here's how we're navigating responsible AI. So we know about the good, the bad, and the ugly. For every article that comes out talking about the promise of AI, we've got another article that talks about how it's going to destroy the world and how somebody has messed something up. So we know that there are promises, that there's a promise for it, and we know that there are risks, and there are a variety of international applications and international initiatives, rather, to govern it. So we found that when you look at the principles of official statistics, and we look at our core principles of responsible AI, that there's a mapping. So at some point, not today, but at some point, I've begun wondering whether we can take our various frameworks and various principles, be they for official statistics, be they for responsible AI, be they for privacy, be they for security, be they for accuracy, etc., and kind of bring them all together into a single framework, given the fact that there is so much commonality. But in any case, point of this slide, the principles of official statistics map very nicely on the principles of responsible AI. So you've got a variety of different mechanisms, right? You've got some principles, some frameworks, laws and policies, guidelines and standards and certifications, each with different compliance requirements. So here's kind of the way that I've been thinking about it. And I actually, the algorithmic versus inferential comes from a professor out of BC. I apologize, I forget his name. But I've been thinking that it's a useful way for us to kind of categorize the AI applications that we're looking at, because the different categories of AI applications have different implications in terms of their governance. So if we move to this table, we see that if we're doing productivity tools and software acquisition, well, the primary governance aspects are standard software and product lifecycle, IT integration checks, etc. On the other end of the spectrum, if we're using it for statistical production and analysis, if we're doing prediction-powered inference, well, data quality and methodological rigor become easily the most important. So the governance really, I think, varies and scales depending on the application type. So we're establishing an Office for Responsible AI with the responsibility for reviews, playbooks and guidance, and largely coordination, because as you probably have experienced yourselves, there's a lot of different elements to this. There's legal, privacy, ethics, cyber, etc. So their activities are standards and best practices, peer reviews, training and workshops, and they offer a consultation service. In terms of their products, it's kind of interesting. You've got the comprehensive guidelines, there's assessment tools, actually doing some red teaming and hackathons to ensure the robustness and the reliability of things that are going to be going out there. There's an AI scorecard and an evaluation, which comes out of the peer review, and they maintain an AI registry system. So ultimately, I guess the main point of this is that brakes are there to let you go faster. People who are extremely enthusiastic and bullish about AI, like myself, tend to sometimes think, oh no, another layer of governance, more process, more procedures, more paperwork. But I believe fundamentally, if we do this right, having the right guardrails in place and having the right policies and procedures in place will allow us to accelerate development, because we'll be mitigating our risks. And that is what I had.
Thank you, Christos. I mean, it's really incredible. All the great messages that you were able to pack into these 5 minutes. No, I love that idea that the breaks allow us to go faster.
I apologize, Luis. I got pulled away and I thought I had more time before coming back, so I completely messed that up.
No worries at all. We will make sure that everybody receives the copy of the presentation. The same goes for the presentation from our colleague from Singapore, and that we keep the conversation going after this session. No, so thank you so much. Now I would like to invite everybody to join back in the main session where we are going to wrap up. And as I said, the conversation continues. Thank you, Christos, and all the speakers.